Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or go by Always More Sims here on YouTube, and today we are finishing the rest of Bentley Bungalow. We're doing the furnishing in this part. This part is a lot longer than the last. Okay, not a lot longer, like 5 minutes longer, but it is longer than the last part. But I actually furnished all of the rooms. Like, what a concept. I know. Sorry, I just realized that there's all this dog and cat hair on my mic. Wonder where that came from. It's annoying. Anyways, I mentioned in the last part that there's something I kind of want to talk about, and for those of you who don't know, I use my speed builds to rant and rave and just kind of talk things out that I don't really want to dredge up. And I mean, I'm pretty talkative about a lot of things and like just regular parts of my Let's Plays, but I always save the more, I don't know, I wouldn't say sensitive as in like to you guys, but I know it's more sensitive to me. I don't even know if that's, I feel like I say sensitive and people are like, oh my gosh, she's going to talk about, you know, triggering stuff. No, that's not what I mean. Basically, I think about a month or so ago, I started talking about how Sarah no longer lives here. I don't talk about Sarah as much. I don't even really know where to go with this. I met Sarah about a year ago. She and I both worked a summer camp at the Humane Society, you know, the one where I get all my foster puppies and I do all my volunteer work out there. And we both worked at this camp. Well, when I first met her, I thought she was going to take my job. When I first met her, she and like she's not out there anymore. She actually left a couple weeks ago. But my boss at the shelter at the time, the one in charge of all the volunteers, she and Sarah had basically already had a plan for what the summer, like what the camp was going to be like. I had no clue. I'm like, great, I'm basically the helper. I thought I was going to be one of the people, not the only one in charge, but one of the people that was going to be in charge, you know, that was going to be able to make some, you know, final decisions, and that wasn't really how it ended up happening. But then at the same time, Sarah wasn't what she was, like, at least to me, wasn't what she was made out to be. Like, she was made out to me to be second in command, and she wasn't. We were all kind of on the same level. Well, I didn't really hang out with her much. I mean, I got along fine with her at camp, and I was honestly scared of her at first, because she is known for having RBF, or we'll call it resting grouch face. She looks like the kind of person that if you say the wrong thing to her, she's going to beat you up. So I didn't really want to talk to her very much, but I'm still going to be friendly, because none of the kids wanted to talk to her either. So I'm like, if they see me talking to her, they'll be like, oh yeah, we'll talk to her too. And that isn't what happened. But maybe like our second to last week of camp, I found out that we were allowed to go out and watch dogs. And now that has become something I try to do every week. Since summer started, it's become almost every other week now. But she would help me. Like, we would go and watch dogs together. It would be the both of us. And we used to take the dogs outside when we were done. Like, whoever we ended up bathing, we would go outside. We'd film a Facebook video. We'd post the video so people could see who was out at the shelter. They could see all the dogs and puppies, and I'd get to play with fosters that I'd had. Stuff like that. I was to help them dry faster. I mean, we stopped doing it once summer hit. I mean, not once summer, once like cold weather hit, and we just never went back to doing it. Because it takes so much time, and we can bathe so many more dogs if we don't take them all out. But she and I would sit there for a good like 15 minutes after every bath and just let the dog or puppies do as they please and play, and we would just sit there and we'd get to talking, and we'd hang out for a little while while we did that, and then we'd split our, go a step away, see each other at camp, do the bathing dogs once a week. Well, then I invited her to go with me to one of the bigger towns. It's about an hour and a half away because our mall in town sucks. They charge way too much for the shops, and the shops can't really afford to be in there because we don't have any of the cool shops. I'd say the coolest shop we had was Bath and Body Works, and now they're leaving. So that doesn't give you an idea. I don't really know it will. But I invited her to go with me. We do Christmas shopping because it was like maybe last week of November, and she said yeah. And finally, like, while we were there, I just kind of asked for her life story. Sarah was kind of an enigma to me, and I didn't really understand like what was going on in her life. I mean, she lost her mom to cancer in October, but she's never been very close with her parents. She was living with her grandma, and she was sleeping on a couch. And I don't know, I got her life story, and I wasn't really liking what I was hearing. Like, I felt like she was getting the short end of the stick on a lot of things. And so that night after she went home, I talked to my parents about it, and they came up with the idea of her moving in. So December 13th, I wonder if that was probably a bad omen that she moved in on a Friday the 13th. And see, I'm not really one to believe in that, but you'll understand why I say that. So she moves in, she gets the spare bedroom in the basement, she brings with her, we call her Big B, but her name was Bailey, so we had 2 Baileys in the house. Big B was a Border Collie German Shepherd mix, so we called her Needy Girlfriend as well, because if she wanted attention and you weren't giving it to her, she'd come up and she'd nudge you, and she'd like throw your elbow like halfway up in the air. Absolute sweetheart. Then she had Bruno, who is an Australian Shepherd, a Red Merle. He's gorgeous, absolute sweetheart. And then we went and got Bentley eventually, who is a Black Tri Australian Shepherd. Well, see, Sarah went to the army for about a month, and then she got medically discharged for something called IIH, or IHH, something like that. It's some kind of neurological condition. Basically, she was too much of a risk to send into, an active war zone or whatever. So they medically discharged her, and she came back, and for a month she was having a hard time finding a job, and she was having cabin fever, and just, I can't do it, I'm a failure, and it was almost like she had a midlife crisis or something when she decided she was going to get Brindley, but oh well. So we went and got Brindley at the beginning of March, and things were, as far as I'm concerned, things were actually going pretty well. She got a job out at the groom shop that I was working at for a while. She was like a built-in best friend. She called me her sister a lot of the time. She treated me like her sister. We were really close. We did almost everything together. We were with each other most of the time. I'd say about 90% of the time we were with each other. We have very similar interests. We both love art. We both love animals. We have very similar tastes in music for the most part. She would watch like shows like Teen Titans, or like I am a weird person. I love watching old Barbie movies, like Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, and I love Rapunzel. And Magic of the Pegasus. Like, I like those. I've never been the biggest fan of Princess and the Pauper, which seems to be everybody's favorite, and I honestly never could really understand why. But anyways, she had no problem watching the old Barbie movies with me when I was feeling nostalgic. Again, she'd watch Teen Titans. She liked Knight Rider. I don't know a lot of people my age that like Knight Rider. A lot of people don't even know what that is. We both loved cars. We had a lot of common interests, and so we got along really well. And then last week of May, everything kind of hit the fan. Due to the virus, I was out of school about halfway through March. I left for spring break and I never went back. And my spring break was the week before my mom and brother got out, and it was the same thing for them. Once they hit spring break, they never went back. And so we were all kind of quarantined in the house together. So once everybody was home all the time, Sarah kind of started slacking on things she would do around the house to help out. When we were gone, she would, like, when we were at school, she would text my mom, like, hey, what can I do? Do you need me to run the vacuum on the main floor? Because we have 3 floors. Do you want me to do something with, like, the rugs or dust something? And, you know, she would ask my mom what needed to be done, if she could help out with anything. Well, as soon as we got home, she stopped asking. And I don't know if she expected my mom to tell her, and if so, I don't know why, because my mom was never one to like just seek her out and say, hey, I need you to go do this. She was kind of hoping Sarah would take initiative and just know to do it. Because my mom was, like, super organized and stuff, and every day of the week is a certain chore. So, like, Mondays are vacuum, and Tuesdays are mopping, and Wednesdays are dusting, and Thursdays are cleaning, like, the toilets and wiping down the sinks in the bathroom. Like, each day is a certain thing, and so Mom kind of expected for her to follow those the same way my brother and I do, for the most part, more me than him. But she wasn't. There's an entrance to the backyard from our basement, and she would let her dogs in after it'd been raining, and so that, like, the tile right in front of the door was a muddy mess, and she never cleaned it and stuff like that. Well, one night my parents sat her down, and they were basically just saying, hey, we need you to, kind of help out a little more. Just make sure, you're staying on top of, like, her room was a mess, and there's a kitchenette in the basement, and she had poured paint or something down the sink, and it had stained the sink, and they're like, we need you to try and clean that out, because, this house isn't even this house is 10 years old. This house isn't even 20 years old, and there's already, all this stain in the sink, and the counters were covered in a bunch of random stuff. So they just asked, that she clean things up, and that she get on, like, the same schedule, that, Monday is this, and Tuesday is this, and Wednesday is this, and make sure she's doing that. And then at the end, they're like, we also would like it if you kind of open up to us more, tell us kind of things you want us to know about you. We don't want to ask you to give up information you're not comfortable with. Just, tell us things you'd like us to know. Talk to us more. Because Sarah would only talk to my parents if they asked her something first. She was rarely ever one to start the conversation. And I could see her, because I was required to be a part of it. Sadly, I didn't want to be, but I was, because I'm the friend and the daughter, so I was kind of in the middle of it. So I could see her shutting down. I'm like, great, this is great. She was doing pretty well for the first half, and then they asked her to open up, and all of a sudden she totally shut down. She did the exact opposite. So I'm like, let's go take a walk. And her 3 are really harsh pullers on walk. Like, they pull really hard, and she was yanking them, and she was getting mad at them, and she wasn't, like, trying to work with them on the pulling. She was literally, like, they would get all tangled up, and then she would yank them back really hard, and she was taking all this anger out on the dogs, but she wouldn't talk to me about, like, for the first 5 minutes of the walk, she was talking to me, but it was all, like, defensive. She's like, I do tell them stuff, I do talk to them about stuff, and I'm like, no, dude, you tell me this, you don't tell them that, and I'm not going to relay to them everything you tell me. And I'm like, come on, just use me as a sounding board, just talk, I won't say anything unless you want me to, just talk to me here. And she totally shut down on me. She didn't want to talk to me at all. She hid in her room for the next couple of days, and that did not help her case. And then my parents started getting the thought, well, if she's going to be like this, then she needs to find somewhere else to live, because she had no problem, like, going out and hanging out with friends, and she's really close with her cousin, and there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, she wouldn't tell anybody when she would leave. And when she first told me, back when we had gone Christmas shopping, she hadn't mentioned that she had so many friends and people that, she hung out with. Like, as far as I was concerned, it was just her. She didn't really have anybody to rely on. So my parents were kind of like, then why did we, do this if she has so many people that she can go hang out with and stuff like that. So they started talking about, well, she needs to find somewhere else if she can't, open up to us like we want her to. And that sounds bad, like, as in just spill your guts. That's not what they were wanting. They just wanted her to, like, be able to start conversations. So a couple days ago, Sarah isn't talking to any of them. She's barely talking to me. And then one day she's finally like, I think, she tells me, she's like, I think we need to talk. Just kind of talk things through, because I know I haven't been talking to anybody. So, sorry. We went and we sat in the park and we ate shaved ice, and this whole time she's talking to me, and she's just coming up with, honestly, how I saw it, she just came up with excuse after excuse after excuse as to why she is the way she is. And I can understand some things to a certain point, but when, you're trying to get her to talk and all she does is just claim over and over that, she has depression, she has anxiety. Like, honey, you're not the only one in the house with depression and anxiety. Like, you're talking to somebody with both of those. My mom has depression that she's being medicated for. My dad has depression, like very minor depression. Like, my brother's pretty much the only one in the house who doesn't have depression. And so I'm like, you're not the only one who has those kinds of problems. But she just kept, well, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have PTSD from my childhood. And then, like, she would send me screenshots of, like, what classifies as PTSD and stuff like that, because my mom was telling her that she didn't buy the PTSD. Because as far as my mom was concerned, my mom had a really rough childhood, and for Sarah's reasons of having PTSD, my mom was like, well, then I should have PTSD. So she wasn't buying it at all. So Sarah was just defensive, and she wasn't really hearing what they had been saying, that we needed her to kind of pick up the slack a little bit, and that's not what she was hearing. She was hearing that, we don't like her, and that she can't do anything right, and she doesn't, I don't know. But she took it all the wrong way, and it snowballed so hard. All of a sudden, my mom couldn't stand to be around her. My dad was just trying to stay out of it. I was to the point, like, I was sad, and then I was indifferent, and then I was angry. And for those of you who know, like, people who say anger is the opposite of love are wrong. Indifference is the opposite of love. Indifference is the opposite of any emotion. And it was really rough, because then we lived together, and we worked at the same place, and she tells me all of a sudden that she was looking to go somewhere else, that she and her cousin are going to go live together, that she's just waiting on her cousin to be able to take out a loan, and then they'll go live together. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I think it'd be best for everybody. I'm like, honestly, I agree with you, because everybody's just walking on eggshells around each other. It's getting really stressful. Well, I had been at work one night, and suddenly I get this text from my mom saying, do you know Sarah's moving? I'm like, yeah, she mentioned that she and her cousin are looking for a place together. And mom's like, no, like, she's packing up her things and moving out tonight. I'm like, what? Nobody told me this. Sarah didn't tell me this. I get home, I went downstairs, and I find that Sarah has packed all of her things, and they're all, stacked up against each other, leaning against the back door. She's totally scrubbed down her bedroom, scrubbed down the bathroom, taken everything that was hers, and shoved it into totes and suitcases and duffel bags and trash bags, and she's not talking to me. Well, I'm not gonna make her move on her own. I'm not gonna just say, okay, you fend for self here. So I'm not saying anything as I'm helping her pack, and she doesn't have enough room in her car, so I get my dad's truck and we load up my dad's truck, and I only had the really big stuff because we put it in the back of the truck. And then I had the dogs, so I had Bailey, Brindley, and Bruno. And see, I'm really attached. I got really attached to the dogs. I was really attached to Brindley. I mean, I was there when Sarah got Brindley. I'm the one who drove 5.5 hours down and back. So I put the mileage on my car that went through 2 tanks of gas because Mustangs have terrible gas mileage. And she's not talking to me. And so I have all 3 dogs in the car. We get to her dad's house, and her dad can be very abusive, and her dad's fiance is even more abusive than he is. She calls Sarah all kinds of nasty things, and insinuates that she was like a gold digger for living with us, and because she got this brand new car when she came back, when she got medically discharged and stuff. And her dad only says that kind of stuff when he's drunk, but the fiance would say it whenever. Well, she, I guess, decided that living with her abusive father was better than living with us, which kind of hurt. So she moves back in with him. I follow. I have the dogs. As soon as we've parked, she takes the dogs from me. And even though they were with me, I didn't actually say goodbye or anything, because I thought she'd let them. He has a fenced-in backyard, and I thought she'd let me, let them run around while she unloaded things and let me kind of play with them. But she grabbed the leashes out of my hand, took the dogs inside, so I didn't get to say goodbye. My dad is attached to Big B. He didn't get to say goodbye. She took the stuff that had been in the back of my dad's truck, and as she was walking towards the house, I'm like, you're gonna stay in touch, right? And she just kind of turned around, looked at me, shrugged, and walked away. I stood out by the truck at the back of the yard for a good 10 minutes waiting for her to come back out, and she never did. So I was really hurt. I was honestly pretty confused as to what had brought the sudden change on. And I get home that night, and she has the audacity to text me and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "No, am I supposed to be okay?" And I went off on her, and I was upset, and I laid in bed for a good 2 hours with my earbuds in, listening to depressing music, because I was so upset and depressed and miserable, and I didn't go in the basement for days. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't really want to talk to my parents. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. Just kind of wanted to be alone. It was an absolute mess. And now she doesn't live here anymore. And she doesn't really talk to me much. She does. She throws back in my face that living with me didn't work, and it basically insinuates that it's my fault. And she only hangs out with me when it's opportune for her, which seems to be a lot of my friendships, if they go on long enough. So, yep. I don't know. I've been wanting to tell you guys this just because I feel like for a while I was acting differently. I was a lot quieter, and oh look, we're at the screenshots. I was just, I don't know. I felt off when I was recording, but I was trying to get my mind off of it, and I don't know. I still talk to her, but honestly, since she's left, I found I don't really miss her that much. And I think we were only so close because she felt like she had to be close to me because she lived with me. I don't know if she really saw us as being that close. If we hadn't lived together at all, I don't think we'd be on, the best speaking terms. We'd probably text each other, to schedule dog stuff, but that's what's going on with me. Been a little over a month now, but I'm gonna go ahead and end the part here, or not the part, but the voiceover. My voice is starting to go. I've recorded 3 voiceovers now, so yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. If YouTube lets me, please enjoy Secret Tunnel. It has been giving me a lot of joy lately. It's just a good song. So yes, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye guys.
Two lovers, forbidden from one another, a war divides their people, and the mountain divides them apart. Build a path to be